If you're looking for a master Lego builder, you're probably in the wrong channel. If you're looking for someone whose building ambitions are way beyond their building skills, you may have found the right place. Let me explain. I started this channel after displaying my first mock, my own creation, at Brickworld 2026. And in case you're wondering, this is what it looked like at the end of the show. We'll get to that. Brickworld, though, if you're not familiar, is probably the largest annual gathering of AFOLs, adult fans of Lego, anywhere in the world. It also takes place about 20 minutes from where I live. A big part of the show is the public exposition, like what's being set up in the picture behind me. My son's grown up here. I've attended Brickworld with him since 2018 when we visited on the public days, and he was only 7. He's been displaying his own mocks since 2019 and has tables, like the ones behind me, at that public show. Check him out at @arty_builds on Instagram. Now this year, instead of him just building and displaying all of the stuff himself, he suggested that I build and display a mock too, which I'd never done. He wanted me to stop just observing him and his experience at Brickworld and understand it better by doing it myself, being a participant and not just an observer. So this is what I created, a wearable, functioning baseball mitt. It was probably too ambitious. It was definitely too ambitious. For a first build, I made little things here and there, but like nothing that I was ever going to actually display, but I was curious, right? I wanted to see if I could use Lego bricks to make a glove that I could play catch with. And to me, I was less concerned, and I'm not like the artistic, aesthetic person. I'm not good at making things look like things. I can't draw a picture. I'm still stick figures, but I knew baseball and I played baseball a lot throughout my life, and I knew what a glove felt like. And I wanted to explore this from could I make a glove that works and feels like a glove out of Lego? And so I did, and I started building it around myself, and I had some really bad ideas at first. It was all brick build. It would fall apart as soon as the ball hit it. It was super uncomfortable. It would cut me. But it was a process, right? And that process is what I got to go through and experience in preparation for Brickworld. So I'd been thinking about Lego a lot longer than I'd been thinking about Brickworld in previous years. So that experience of trying to form what kind of looks like a baseball glove, but feels a lot like a baseball glove, that was the important thing. And I got to hang out with Arthur in his room / Lego studio with a bed and ask him questions about Lego and other things about the rest of his life. I get to learn what the pieces do, what kind of pieces exist, is it available in that color, those kinds of things. But at the end, it was father-son time I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And so that alone made it all worthwhile. But what I wasn't expecting, not really, was that in the process, Brickworld became more for me than an annual event I go to support my son and his interests. It started to become my place too. And that, A, surprised me, but B, really accomplished what Arthur's goal was to get me to get it, to understand. He knew that there was problem solving, and I'll talk a little bit about it, problem solving parallels between what we do with Lego and what I do professionally. And I felt like the medium just wasn't for me. But that changed when I did the mitt. And even though it wasn't necessarily anything show-stopping, and I may or may not have only gotten one token, it was something that brought me into this community properly. And at the same time, I think Arthur, in his age, he's 15 now, he had been kind of becoming more active in the community of people, not just the community of bricks. He'd long since been a great builder and certainly approaching things like an AFOL even when he was 8. The people side of it was never his focus. But now I saw that this year. He had known people from Instagram. He had been talking with people at shows for many years, but now started to really, they would remember him, his builds, they would have these deeper conversations, and it was awesome to see. And I understand community. Like that to me was something that I value and find very interesting. So great thing is that now I can call myself a true participant in Brickworld. But going back to that first picture, my build during the show, actually, we intentionally dismantled it so that Arthur could use the pieces and strengthen the jaw. He had a hinge piece that was under a fair amount of stress in the jaw on his animatronic Golden Freddy head. After 2.5 days of this thing working flawlessly, that jaw going, one of the Technic pieces broke. It literally broke from the straight, and we didn't have a spare at the show. And it was Saturday when the people are voting, and we're like, is there anything we can do to solve this right now? And the answer was, let's scrap the Mitt for parts. And he was able to like create a much stronger mechanism that lasted the rest of the show. Everything was fine. The pieces were actually like twisting in the original. And so you just iterate and make it better, right? And so we used the pieces from the Mitt. I couldn't have been happier, right? Because we dismantled mine. It turned into a pile of pieces, but it had served its purpose. It got me there in a perspective that I had never had before. To me, this year's Brickworld was on a different level, and it was something that you couldn't really ask for more. That entire experience, you couldn't ask for more on a Father's Day weekend, which is when Brickworld's always held. And it was truly, truly amazing experience. So that's where we are starting this channel, creating this video. But so now I have a new challenge, right? Because I've come out of Brickworld and I like this stuff. And I could use a hobby. I need to do more than just work. And so I've started, I'm hooked, right? I'm hooked, right? This is going to be a problem because I'll tell you, so when I get into something, I get kind of obsessively, absurdly into something. Like most people are like, oh, I can be a casual. No, there's no casual with me. And so I've already got in my head an idea for something I want to build for next year. And I have absolutely no business whatsoever thinking I could do this. But so anyway, so now I'm starting to watch all this YouTube content, videos, and I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, this stuff's amazing. These people build crazy good stuff. And every single direction you want to go to, whether it's aesthetic stuff, the massive displays, the scale of things like what Arthur does with the animatronic heads and wearables and all of this stuff. I'm like, I can't do any of this, but I have an idea of something I want to do. But I find those videos, if you watch those videos, you see what they're building there. I see what I can do. You saw what I did. And I don't know how to go from where I am to where I want to be. And I think my hypothesis why I created this channel is that maybe documenting that journey might be useful because that's something that I could do and something I could offer to that community today. I can't spend the next 5 years becoming a great Lego builder and be like, hey guys, I have something to offer. I'd rather talk about it now because now to me, if I can create content around it, I can document the journey, I can tell the story, then maybe that journey is a little more worthwhile. Maybe that ambition's a little bit more worthwhile. Instead of a bunch more videos of people that have built great things and you're like, wow, I wish I could do that. How about let's go through that journey together. Let's go through that journey and actually find a path. I'm interested in documenting the path. The outcome, yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think there's a story to be told of the path. So that's the idea. That's what I want to do. Okay. And so that's why we're here. So what we're going to do is we're going to document this crazy ambitious journey and we'll do other content as well. We'll talk about different things. I'll talk about things that I've learned. I'll talk about things that we've experienced. But I want to do it from the perspective of somebody who's got some pedigree. I've done some pretty cool stuff in my career. It has nothing to do with Lego. I think I can apply some of those skills to the world of Lego in a compelling way. And I think I can tell that story in a way you might enjoy watching it. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to have that journey together. So let me tell you a little bit more about where I'm coming from, right? So I build massive data systems. So data technologies, data analytics, large scale systems that power AI, for example. I create the data architectures. All of this stuff is super eyes glaze over. You cannot talk about what you do at a cocktail party. That's been my entire career. I find it super interesting, but nobody else does. So just understand I do big technology stuff, strategy stuff. I did consulting, data strategy consulting for many years. I wrote a book on data leadership because it's about how do you take pieces of information and turn them into something of value, right? And the progression there, the trial and error, form a hypothesis, use the data that you can compile and then improve on that. It sounds just like building a Lego, right? Just like building a mock. And that to me is why I think this journey could be especially interesting because I've been down this path before, or a path that looks like it. We've just changed the medium. So that's what we want to do. And that's what I think by going through this and documenting this process, and we'll do it on live streams, we'll do it on videos, we'll show you different steps. And I see this massive ambitious project, which I'm not going to talk about right now. This video is already going to be too long, but I want to be able to show you all of those intermediaries, not just that end product, because I think there's value in understanding it. So that is where we're heading, right? And that to me is where we can together start to add our pieces to this community, right? Because that to me is what I can do now, right? I started to think about it, and then I had talked to my son about this when it came to like, okay, well, what do I start working on for next year? And what keeps me interested being, doing it day in and day out. And it's partially the Lego build, but it's partially telling the story. Because to me, it's about saying, how did I learn from this? And you don't learn from the successes. I go on to some of the channels that have these amazing engineering creations. I'm like, I want to see the one that you tried that it didn't work at all. It starts going click, 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 and nothing happens. Like, that's the one I want to see. And I've been in consulting. I mean, when I was doing consulting, I would characterize consulting as this: having a willingness of going into a boardroom with the most important people in a company and asking the dumbest questions possible and iterating until you figured it all out. That's all I would do. And now I can do that with Lego, and I can talk about that with you and why I'm trying this and what we learned why that didn't work. And because to me, if I can tell that story of something that went terribly wrong, instead of ending the day being frustrated, I get to end the day being proud that, hey, maybe somebody else learned from this too. Like, I learned from it, sure. But maybe if others learn from it as well, we all benefit. And then we can have a conversation about it. And then we can start to help each other. To me, this is what I've done. I've done this in other contexts as well. I've had other channels. I've had other avenues where I've created content or where we've had this kind of learning journey. And I realized, like, this is the same story, but in a much more interesting place, because Lego's available to anyone, and to me, it's finally me being able to play with the toy that I always wanted to. Because I actually liked Lego a lot when I was a kid, but I only ever had one box. I had like the basic starter box. My son has it in his room right now. And that was the only Lego I ever had because it was so expensive. And we didn't have a ton of money. And so I ended up with constructs. You know what constructs are? They had like these beams and these little, you think it hurts to step on Lego? Try stepping on one of those little constructs ball junction things. So that's what I did. But there's a limited upside to that. There's only so much you can do with little junctions and long things that would always crack in half, and they were poorly engineered. But I loved them. And I created so many different things with them. So this was in there, right? And so now, even though I'm much older, and even though I don't really have any ambition for what this channel becomes, if anybody finds something that they can learn from here, that seems worth it. I think it'll be fun. So I think that's what we'll do. So to me, that's why we're here. That's what we're doing. Hopefully this gives you some insight. We're going to have a lot more videos that go into a lot more depth about everything you can imagine. We'll talk about the big project coming up. This video is really about getting the channel launched, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it with cadence of videos, doing streams, all of this stuff. Like I've said, I've made content before, but this one seems so much more fun. So hopefully you'll be with me on it. So if you're interested, please do subscribe at A-Train Builds. It's A-Train Builds, even though it reads like Brain Builds. It's going to be kind of ironic because it's not going to be a lot of brain build, but I guess it is because we're building our brains with this. So hopefully it makes sense. We'll do that. We'll have live streams. We'll have more videos. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you're interested in. Let me know where you don't think somebody's done it, because I'll put it out there, right? I'll try to do something, and we're going to be doing a lot. I'll tell you this, there's going to be a lot of movement in what we're going to build. There's going to be a lot of start small and add to it. There's going to be programming. There's going to be this. I don't know if anybody's ever done this, at least certainly not the way I intend to do this in terms of the build itself. It's that level of ambition, but it would be really, really cool to be successful with it. I don't know if it'll be ready for Brickworld 2027, but we're going to try. We're going to try. So with that, thank you for checking this out. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. And I will do my best to give you interesting content, interesting stories about things that are not necessarily just success, because I think that story needs to be told as well. So with that, thank you for joining me here. I will see you on the next one. Welcome to the channel.